And with this particular video, I want to talk about how your OGs have basically sold out to white supremacy. And the way they sold out, they could be more considered O, but not G. Like, your OGs are not even G anymore. They're not gangster. They're watered down, they're turned down, and now their job is basically to turn you down. They have a new occupation in white supremacy, with all the luxuries and the status and the toys and the trinkets that they got. They're now supposed to turn you down. They're supposed to make you weak. They got advice for you. The type of advice they got for you is actually fear. They're pushing fear to you. And they're pushing white supremacy as an almighty power that is undefeatable, that's invincible. And if you knew better, you would turn down, act right, become a good and upstanding, individual. This is the kind of advice that they have for you. I mean, they're coming out with gospel albums, and they got social media accounts clowning individuals who have took up the path of gangsterism, of being a gangster. Now, I gotta say in this video that I don't condone being a gangster. I'm not trying to propagate or promote or tell you, you should be a gangster. That's not what I'm saying. However, there's a little bit of rebel. There's a little bit of revolutionary. There's a little bit of resistance in gangsterism. Gangsters, in a lot of cases, think that they are bigger and badder than the system. They find alternative ways to come up without bowing down to the system of white supremacy. Now, don't get it twisted. A lot of them get caught. They end up in prison. They end up in jail. They end up dead. They end up in a casket. There's a lot of self-hate in what we call gangsterism. Black on black crime. I don't want to mitigate any of that. But I want to speak to the revolutionary and rebellious spirit that is in gangsterism. We see a lot of that in what Tupac presented to us. We saw a lot of that in the RBG movement. Revolutionary but gangster. This is an image that they presented to us. But now, what the so-called OG is doing is very Christianized. Very by the book. It's some play it safe shit. These are the same individuals that supposedly made it to where they at being a G. They didn't take no shit off nobody. They handled their fucking business. They was bold. They was true gangsters according to them. They certified. They validated by the streets. And these same individuals got good advice for you now. Telling you how to be a choir boy. They're actually turning you away from the path that supposedly made them an OG. They saying, you're likely not going to make it. Don't go that route. Stay in school. Don't be a fool. Do something good with your life. Go in a different direction. But they so-called made it as a G. That's how you become an OG. You've been a G for a long time. You succeeded at being a G, so you became an OG. You would think. But nah, they didn't succeed at becoming an OG. They just got old. They dropped the G a long time ago. They've been dropped the G. The real G's is not trying to push themselves off as OGs on social media. The real G's are not watered down either. They was G's yesterday. They G's today. And they gonna be G's tomorrow. And they not going to redefine or change gangsterism based upon their amount of success, how many white people they know, how corporate they have become, how many contracts they have signed, and how willing they were to cooperate with law enforcement and the police department and the politicians. That now all of a sudden they're going to water down gangsterism. Now they're going to promote self-doubt. Now they're going to make the system unbeatable. Because in any way that somebody is trying to beat the system and find an alternative way from bowing down being a slave, they're going against the system. You can call it gangsterism, you can call it revolutionary, you can call it resistance, you can call it whatever you want, but they're going against the system. These OGs are going along with the system now. They have jobs, they're actors. So did they really make it to be an OG? Or have they actually been broken down before they got old? And now they're using the perception or the projection of an OG just to influence you to water yourself down before you even become a real G, before you become a successful G or a successful gangster. These are not successful gangsters. A lot of these individuals failed miserably at being gangsters. Because people went to jail, you fail as a gangster. You fail and you change your life around. And you're no longer a gangster anymore. So you're no longer a OG. So you got gangster failures. While they may be successful in corporate America, they might be successful in Hollywood, they might be successful in the movie industry. They failed at being a G, i.e. they're not a G anymore. The purpose of being a gangster was not to end up a coon at one day. That's not the purpose of being a gangster. And here it is. I'm no expert on gangsterism. You follow what I'm saying? But come on. The objective of being a gangster couldn't have been to become a coon, to become a sellout, to end up buck dancing, shucking and jiving, trying to play the tune that the white man wants you to play, trying to be politically correct, trying to cow down the white supremacy. That couldn't have been the objective of a gangster. So they're not OGs, they old coons. And now they're used to promote fear, so that these individuals, these youth, won't even try to rebel and go against the system. But they want to present themselves like they such a thug and they were just so thorough. But we can see now that you are a broken old coon, that you are a broken Negro. That's what we can see looking at you right now. That your challenges and obstacles broke you down and made you clean up your act and become a choir boy and become a spokesman for white supremacy, become a representative of white supremacy now, under the auspices of being an OG. Well, you shouldn't do that, blood, and don't do that, and I wouldn't do that, and this is how it go, and this is how it's supposed to be. How is you a G right now? Because you know some people on the block that still fuck with you? Because you can go on the block and people on the block identify with you? That makes you a gangster? It's all type of people that can be identified on the block that go back to the block. Anybody that lived on that block can go back and be identified by somebody. What makes them OGs? Because they famous? Because the white man gave them a job? Because they got a record deal? Because the white man has put them in front of your face? What makes these individuals gangsters? Because they got shot? Because they did jail time? Because they lost some homies, some friends? What makes them a gangster? And can you retire from being a gangster? Can you retire from being a gangster? I mean, these are questions that I have to ask. Because they're not even gangster enough to stand up against the white man. You got Snoop Dogg on here doing gospel albums. One day he a Muslim. The next day he's a Rastafarian. He's not gangster to even be able to stand as one thing. How's he gangster? Trump was about to run him out of America, have him move to Canada, because he did a video showing Trump being assassinated. He feared the consequences, ready to leave the country, ran to the church. How is you a gangster? How are these gangsters? A lot of these are old coons. And now they telling you the good and right thing to do according to the standards of society. Gangsters went against society. A gangster bow down to no one. A gangster is like an outlaw cowboy. You seen some of them old cowboy movies, them old western movies? They never bowed down to nobody. To the death. How you gonna be an OG cowboy? You either cowboy today or you not. I just gotta keep it real with you. So your OGs have actually sold out to white supremacy, and they're using the appearance of the OG status to lead you to white supremacy, to be able to be called on by the white man when necessary, to put out your fire, to direct you towards white supremacy when needed. That's a fact. These are leaders and faces that they put in front of you because they know, look, these people are in the system, and they can come to these individuals and call on them and use them. Some of these individuals are actually worse than snitches, even if they're not. They're worse than snitches because a snitch can probably redeem themselves. They can realize that, wait a minute, I turned on some people in the streets, and that was bad. I shouldn't have did that. I was weak, and I'm striving to be a stronger person, to have more loyalty and integrity, and I know that was bad, and I got to fix that. But these individuals, they ain't just snitching on somebody like one time and giving somebody up. They are on call from the white man through their managers, through their publicists, through their parole officers, through their probation officers, through the DA, through the feds, who can call them up and get a favor from these coon Negroes to come out before the public and take the rebel and gangster spirit of the youth who really want to rebel against white supremacy. They just don't have a revolutionary context to their fight, but they really bucking and rebelling is really the rebel slave in these individuals that is being misunderstood by them as wanting to be some type of gangster. But these individuals are set to put out your fire, to make you think you can survive in the system of white supremacy and you can establish yourself in white supremacy. Why can't go on being a gangster? Because now what's being gangster now? Being gangster is getting you a job. That's gangster, huh? Being a gangster is opening up your own business. That's gangster, huh? Being gangster is, buying a building. Huh? How's that gangster? Not to say that you can't do these things, but when you define gangster as being a part of the system, working with the police, working with the construct, working with the institutions of white supremacy, and you come and tell us that that's what being a gangster is, you done sold the fuck out. You have sold the fuck out. These are studio gangsters. These are gangsters that have failed at being a gangster. And not only are they failing at being a gangster, they're failing at being revolutionaries. They're failing at being rebel slaves. And now they're scared and they're preaching fear and what you better do and what you should do. And they want you to clean yourself up and bow down to the system. Going to college is being a gangster. That's gangster now. Staying in school is gangster now. Do you follow? I'm not doing this video because I promote or support being a gangster, because I don't support any of the black on black self-hate, black on black self-crime. But I also don't promote bowing down to the system of white supremacy. And some of these people, they're not really gangsters. They're not really outlaws. They're not really against the fucking system. They're not really against the fucking police. They just temporarily doing that so that they can one day become a part of the system. So they can become a politician. They can become a part of this machine. They can become a part of the beast. They can become a part of martial law. They want a piece of the American pie. They're not going against nothing. They want to be incorporated. So they're not gangsters at heart. They're gangsters by circumstances and situations. And when them circumstances and situations change, they're not going to be no gangster no more. Like Nas say, they style switch like a faggot. When situations and circumstances change, they are going to change. They are not going to be gangster anymore. They like the weather. They change. Funny style niggas. They're going to change. And you see that. These are not OGs. These are old fucking coons that have been broken and bowed down by white supremacy, and the white man is letting them get up in front of you and get in front of your face. He's allowing them to do that because he knows these are my niggas. I can call on them whenever I feel like it. These are the white man's G's. These are gangsters for the white man's agenda, for the white man's materialism, for the white man's capitalism, for success that is defined by white man. They're gangsters for success in America. They're gangsters for the success of American imperialism and materialism. This is a fact. So now they speak down on ways in which they made it, supposedly, because they didn't make it that way. They speak against that which is a part of the path of being a G. They speak against that now. Don't do that. You shouldn't do that. See, if you was smart, if you was just that another, if you was a fucking coon, you're going to be scared. They're promoting fear. They're fear mongering. Saying a good boy is the only way to be. You'll never beat the system. You'll never beat the white man. You can't continue to be a gangster. You got to change and bow down to the system. You have to become a broken Negro at some point. This is what they're teaching. This is their message. These are your so-called OGs. Ain't no such thing as an OG. It's just a G. You either a G or you're not a G. You either a gangster by heart or you're not a gangster at all. It's the bottom line. You can never not be a gangster. If that's what you are. Ain't no such thing as no goddamn OG. Because that's that situation. I mean, the situations change. You ain't a G no more. You don't stand for nothing no more. You ain't got that heart no more. You think you have gotten smarter. Well, I'm smarter now. I'm wiser now. No, you're not. You a coward now. You a goddamn coward and a broken Negro. That don't gotta be about that action no more. You ain't gotta be about that real solidarity no more. Now you can just be about that talk. You can just have that talk game. And it could just, and you just leading people to white supremacy, man. The fire's out. They put your fire out. I had to touch on that. This King Noble Black Supremacy. Signing out.